Welcome to the Boomer Briefing Podcast, where we help you solve a critical business issue in 20 minutes or less. On today's episode, we're going to jump back into the conversation with Sandra Wiley, shareholder and consultant at Boomer Consulting, and Shannon Hammons, Chief Human Resources Officer at Hogan Taylor. In this two-part episode, Shannon and Sandra have been discussing on how to develop a people-first culture. Let's jump back into where they left off last week. Take it away, Sandra and Shannon.
It also sounds to me like the leadership at Hogan Taylor is they're writing the check, all right? They're making the investment in career advisors, talent advisors. I know your career development program, you have made investments in developing a learning and development program and getting the right things in place so people have the right skills and they can get the right skills that they need to do their job. So you should be congratulated for all of that. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
So if you were coaching another firm, so now let's pretend that now you're going to be in front of a bunch of HR directors or managing partners in firms, and you were coaching another firm on what they might do to start really building this people first culture. What are some of the very first steps they need to take, and how can they make progress in 2023 and beyond?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think we have to be open-minded. If we take it from the approach of like, I have all the answers, or the way that I did it is the best way, or the way we've done it in the past is the way we're going to do it in the future, like, it's not going to work well. It doesn't give recognition or appreciation for other people either. So I think that's where I would start with is, let's make sure that we get outside of our own tiny little worlds and make sure that our people practices are, best practices by looking to see what other people are doing, engaging with other firms, making sure that we're bringing people in to have conversations about what's happening and how we're moving forward. So I'd first say that open-mindedness would be a really important key. I think the other thing is, as we make decisions on a daily basis, that's where people get the feeling of like, are we a people first organization? And so for us, we have strong core values. Our core values are around unity, service, and dynamic. For us, unity means where we have an attitude of cooperation, mutual respect, and teamwork. And service is really like putting others first, and we know that when we do that, we have a better life. And then dynamic is being, optimistically seeking to be better tomorrow than we are today. So these core values, like, if we just think about them in a sense of like, these are plaques on the wall or things that we utilize to talk to our clients, it may not lead to that people first organization, but when they're integrated within our organization, they're a part of who we are, and they help us to be able to make decisions on a daily basis. That's whenever we'll live up to, what we're trying to accomplish. So I would say, if you don't already have core values, like ours are what ours are, but yours are going to be unique, and you need to have them. And as you have them, kind of take a step back and look at them, and do they, communicate your whole approach to who you are as an organization, or are they just something that you're utilizing from a client experience and helping to communicate, your approach to the client proposition? I think the last thing that I would mention would be that organizations that put people first, they really listen, and open communication is so important in firms that have a people first culture. Listening can happen in a variety of different ways. For HR professionals, we get excited about surveys and focus groups and, organizational development that leads to listening opportunities, and all those are important and great. But I would say we shouldn't lose sight of what Marcus Buckingham says, that people don't leave companies, they leave managers. like that team and your direct team is so important to long-term retention. So our leaders need to be creating space where, engagement leaders are giving opportunity for people to talk about their work. Career advisors and talent advisors are creating space for people to talk about their careers and their long-term goals and aspirations. And partners have an open door policy where they're available to talk through issues with people. Those daily, again, kind of going back to this daily occurrence, those daily opportunities where you have an opportunity to like give of your time, to check in on somebody, to just have a small word with somebody, like they can mean so much that we need to be doing a lot of these other great organizational things, but we can't stop there. I was talking to an employee last week who his example was just like so spot on. He shared with me about a challenge that he was going through, and he was really, shaken by it. He needed some help. He reached out to a partner who was a high-level partner in our firm, and that person, all he had to do was ask. They got together on a Teams call, and that partner was able to help him to like rethink this challenge and consider it more of an opportunity than a challenge. He also reassured him to say like, yeah, you've gone through problems before, but you may have taken one step back, but you've always moved forward 2 steps. So like, you've got this. And that reassuring word meant so much to him. It was like 5 minutes, but for that employee, like it was so impactful. So as much as I like to, think about all the organizational things that we can do, and they are important, we need to be doing them, we can't just do those. Like it takes all of us together, and each leader needs to be making sure that they're spending time investing in people on a daily basis, so those employees feel like they come first.
I love it. When I think about all the things that you just talked about, they're all so important. But the growth mindset, really having that open mind, I think is super important. I love, it's almost like the checklist, right? We're going to implement this thing and we're going to check it against our core values. But you're right. If you don't have the core values, it's hard to check anything against anything, right? So I like kind of putting them up against your core values. Does this support who we are? Listening with an open heart. But one of the things that's kind of been a theme throughout this entire time that we've been talking is the growth that you feel like is your responsibility and confidence for your people. The story you just told of that person who was able to pick up the phone and call a partner. First of all, that sometimes never happens, right? I mean, there's a lot of firms out there that never happens. That he or she wasn't turned away at the door, like, no, that's not my job. Go see your mentor, go see your performance coach, whatever it is. They were actually said, no, I'll talk to you about that. And at the end of the scenario, how much growth and confidence they must have had. How cool is that? I mean, all of that is packaged into what we're talking about today, which is all about, people first. And so it has become a part of your culture. And thank you so much for sharing all of that. So one final tidbit. What is a talent trend that you think firms should really be focused on in this year ahead? What should they be working on?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So the list is really long, right? As HR professionals, we have just been going through so much change, tackling all kinds of different things. I say HR professionals because I'm thinking about the management of a lot of this, but it's affecting everybody, whether it be employees, our leadership teams, organizations. For some firms that may look like dealing with remote work and maintaining connection whenever there's distance. For other firms, it's succession planning and seeing partners transition. And then for others, just finding people. The talent wars are real. This is the hardest market that we've ever had to endure. And so, whether that's looking for people in our local markets, expanding across the U.S., or going internationally to expand our talent pools, has all been things that our firm is working on. But I think the one thing that kind of connects across all of those, and what's really been our focus for this year, is the employee experience. We know that, as all these things are changing, it changes the relationship that we have with our employees, and it changes the way in which we as an organization work and connect. So we've been taking an opportunity to take a step back and revisit how these changes are affecting our employees throughout the journey with Hogan Taylor, and really making sure that we can communicate and identify, what it means to be a part of Hogan Taylor. And, as these changes are happening, what does that impact on the employee? I think it's really important because not only does it help us to deal with the change, but it also signals to employees that how important they are, and that we want to make sure we're not just thinking about the business, but also about them. We are so thankful to Boomer Consulting for being a part of that process with us. We kind of got started through that with a project that Boomer has helped us with, and we pulled together a cross-functional team to kind of map out and reassess each of those journey points. And in that process, we were honest, kind of going back to that thing that we were talking about on an individual basis. We were honest and candid as a group to say okay, what are the things that we need to be doing differently? What are the things that we need to do better as these changes occur? And you and your team have been so helpful in helping us to get through that, because there's a lot. We then, partnered that with other listening sessions that we had hosted last year that include, surveys and focus groups and stay interviews. We've taken that and kind of put together a list, and are prioritizing that list. And as we have our people come out of busy season this year, we plan to, execute on that list. So I would say, what's most important for each firm is a hard thing. Each one is unique and they have specific needs, but I would say as you look to identify what that is, that priority setting and focus is really important, because if we don't do that, if we don't have something guiding us through the process, we'll just get lost in this maze of change that's happening right now.
Yeah, you can almost get so many projects going that you don't do anything really well. So but I appreciate that, and thank you so much. So one more thing before we go: if someone is listening to this podcast and they say, oh gosh, I would really like to ask Shannon a question, or I'd like to get a hold of her, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much for giving me the opportunity to be a part of it. I always enjoy the opportunity to share about what a blessing it is to be a part of Hogan Taylor. And I also am a learner at heart. I love to knowledge share and share best practices. I feel like the more I learn, the more opportunity that I have to have an impact on someone else's life, whether that be a Hogan Taylor or in my family, or in my other circles of influence. So I would love to connect with anybody who is looking for some help. They can reach me by email at shammons@hogantaylor.com. And my last name is Hammons. So shammons, Hammons @hogantaylor.com. And then I'm also out on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with you there as well.
Fantastic. Shannon, thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom, and your commitment to a great employee experience and really an employee first culture. So thank you so much. To our audience, thank you so much for listening in, and we hope that you will listen in every week for our podcast at Boomer Consulting. Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.